What's up, everybody? This is Live with No Hippie BBQ. What I'm going to be doing today is going to be a pork butt. I'm going to be using some aspects that I've got from another YouTube channel called Aim 'em and Claim 'em Smokers. And what he did in his pork butt recipe was that he injected it with the mixture half and half Italian seasoning and apple juice. So that's what we're going to do. So the first thing that we're going to do on this is we have our Italian seasoning, or this Italian dressing. This may be a little bit much for this recipe, but we're just going to throw all of this in here and save the rest for later if needed. So what we're doing is we are straining out all the seasoning and stuff that's in that. So we're going to let that kind of drain out, and we're going to save this part for later. And we're going to mix it with our apple juice. So that is going to be our injection. Now what I like to do when I'm injecting is, well, first of all, we have an 8-pound pork butt. So what I've done is I've taken off most of the stickers, except for this one on the back I couldn't get off. We're not going to want to inject it through the sticker, which is why I take the stickers off. Let me see if I can get... Oh, there we go. So we got that sticker off. The injector I'm using, I had a better injector, but it broke, and these injectors that come with like the Tony Chachere's injectables works well. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pour this mixture in a glass, and we are going to inject this directly through the bag. And the reason I'm going to do that is it's going to have a chance to kind of sit for about an hour before we get it on the smoker and before we rub it. So what I'm not wanting is I'm not wanting the injection to leave the meat, and keeping it in the bag is going to keep that from happening. So we're just going to kind of hit it throughout on both sides. It's going to rest. The smoker I'm going to do it on today is going to be the Traeger. I was thinking about doing it on my offset smoker, but I have some stuff to do today, and I could just throw this out there and let it run. The rub I'm going to use on it is just the rub I threw together. We have some salt, pepper, garlic, some habanero powder, some cumin, onion powder. It's just something I threw together. It's nothing really specific. Use whatever you like as far as that goes, and I'm really anxious to see how this injection is going to come out. One thing I'm going to do in this video, if you look in the description, I'm going to put a link to James at Aim 'em and Claim 'em's YouTube channel, and I'm going to put it in the iCard above. One thing that he does now with his pork butt is he takes all the stuff that was drained off of that Italian dressing, and then he adds mustard to it, and that's going to be the binder as opposed to just using straight mustard. Also, one thing I did do once I injected it, I took it out of the bag and then I rinsed it off, just to, you know, who knows what was on the outside of that pork. So rinsed it off, kind of let it dry off. So we're working with something that's pretty dry here. So now we're just going to go ahead and apply this binder. And the injection, I was almost able to get that entire injection in there. I have a little bit left over, so we may add a little bit of that when we wrap it later on. Alright, so there's our binder. And now we're just going to go over it with our rub. And since I'm going to be doing this on the Traeger, normally when I'm doing a pork butt and I put it on like an offset smoker, even a Weber Smoky Mountain, what I will do is I'll trim a lot of the fat off of it. This still has a pretty decent fat cap on the bottom, and we're going to go ahead and leave that because when you're cooking on a Traeger, the heat comes pretty direct from the bottom almost. So I like to leave that there to protect the meat. Now while this Traeger's getting heated up, what's going to happen is this rub is going to have a chance to kind of almost turn into a paste on it, and that's kind of what I like. I think that develops a good bark. So I'm going to get this Traeger lit up. We're going to get it on and get cooking. This pork butt on. There's what we're looking like. I'm going to check this in about 3 hours, and then from that point I may start spritzing it down. Once it gets the color we want, we're going to go ahead and wrap it, get a probe in it, and finish it. We're going to be taking this to about 203 degrees. About 3 hours in, and I've had this at a low setting. I've been cooking this probably under 200 degrees, and one of the reasons is when you're cooking with these Traegers, I feel that the smoke gets in there better if it's cooking real low for the first few hours. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it up. And what we are cooking on, if I didn't mention it earlier, is we are using cherry pellets in this. Anyway, once it starts developing a crust, I'm going to go ahead and start spritzing it down, but I don't want to spritz it down until I start getting kind of a crust on it. About an hour in after I pumped up the temperature on this, it looks like we're starting to get that bark, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of just spray it down. I'm not necessarily doing it for moisture as much as I am trying to add another layer of flavor. So anyway, I'm going to do this about once every hour and a half. Cook for just under 5 hours. I'm going to go ahead and just temp it right quick just to see kind of where we're sitting at. So I'm at 137. We have ways to go before we wrap. But I am going to go ahead and spray it down right quick. And let's keep riding. We are into this a bit. We're about just under about 7 hours in on it. So I'm going to go ahead and probe this right quick. See where we're at. I'm not sure if you can see that with this sun glare. We're at about at 173, and we're pretty early in the day. I think we're at, let me take a look at my clock. We're at like just about 2 o'clock, so there's really no reason for me to rush this. So I don't think I'm going to wrap it. I think I'm just going to kind of let it go. And, if we start stalling out, then I'll go ahead and wrap it. But the bark is doing just what I want on it. Everything is coming along great. So we're just going to keep on going as is. I am going to pull this out. Look at all that juice coming out of there. I am going to go ahead and squirt it right quick. I would turn it around, but the meat is getting a little loose. About 9 hours into this cook right now. I'm going to go ahead and probe this right quick. See kind of what we're looking like. Let me back out a little bit. So 197 here. Let's come over here. Got some temperatures all over the place. What I'm gonna do, let's probe this right here. So let's say roughly we're gonna be about 80-ish across the whole board. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up and then throw it back out here on the smoker till we get to about, like I said, about 203. The smoker, just like we were talking about, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with some apple juice and apple cider vinegar. So we're going to wrap it up tight. I'm gonna go ahead and double wrap it. Then it's gonna go back out on the smoker till we get to 203 degrees. Now we've just hit 203 on this pork butt. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up again. So I do have some holes in the top from where I was kind of probing it. I never did just put my electric thermometer in there, so I just kept poking it in. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to put one more layer of foil on this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this in the cooler and let this sit for probably 3 hours before I pull it. It's actually had about 3 hours to rest in that cooler. It's still pretty hot, not super hot, but too hot for my bare hands. Anyway, let's just go ahead and start pulling this stuff apart. Now when I'm pulling my pork, I do not like it to be mushy. I like to have bigger chunks in it, but that's just me personally. Pull it as much as you want or as little as you want, but I want it to be pretty, well, let's see, this is a good consistency right here. I do not want it shredded to death. That is some good looking pulled pork right there. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back. I've already kind of tasted it, but I want to grab a part of that little bit of money muscle that's in there. So really, I just want to end this video and just kind of talk about the flavor of this pulled pork. And one thing that I think that Italian seasoning gave this was kind of almost a real savory undertone or something. I don't know, very unique. Try it, you love it, but I kind of get a savory kind of well, garlicky flavor because you have the stuff that was in the salad dressing that was rubbed on the outside. So you got that. Anyway, I really like it. It's hard for me to really explain it, but it's kind of almost a sweet, savory type of a deal. Anyway, give it a shot. I thought this came out perfectly. Anyway, thanks for stopping by No Hippie BBQ. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.